Tintamon here, along with my good friend Gilmon.
Hello guys, it's Gearman. I'm up for some peanut butter for the new show.
Oh, God.
We heard.
God, this is an awful intro.
It is. There was supposed to be a joke about Pokemon and Digimon, but it didn't. Yeah.
Oh, well. I gotta go. It's just like, hey guys, welcome to the podcast. It's a chicken sandwich here, along with my good buddy.
It's Peeps.
Oleg's
my favorite. I'm playing Saints Row 4, Reelected.
On the Xbox One.
Yep.
One of the things is we wanted to talk about on this podcast. We really should have done this on the anniversary, but I think we all had
stuff to do.
Yeah, mostly listening to the Pokemon theme song all day long. Like, I was sitting there driving around, just like, gotta keep hitting repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta keep hitting repeat.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta hear that full version. It's amazing. The Pokemon 20th anniversary just happened, and
may I be the first to break the language into this season, into this video?
Sure.
Holy fuck! Pokemon's 20 years old.
How old are we? God.
I remember. Oh, hey, on Epic's done downloading.
But in all truth, we didn't get Pokemon for an extra 2 years after that, or something like that. 1998.
Yes.
So Pokemon is
18 years.
That's legal to smoke.
Yep.
And legal to vote.
There you go.
Happy Super Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Super Tuesday, no matter who you're voting for.
The important thing is you're voting.
We're proud of you, America.
Somewhat.
Wow.
There are some shameful things that we dare not speak of.
Pittsburgh.
Jersey. It's a Jersey thing. You know, and I saw that episode of South Park last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was during one of their really high seasons. Really good seasons.
It was a pretty good episode. But anyways, back to the subject of the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. It is, I believe, the best-selling RPG series of all time at this point.
Is it more than Final Fantasy?
Well, let's put it this way. It's probably the only series that is actually every generation has had more sold than the previous. And
yeah.
X and Y, and I think even Omega Sapphire and Alpha or Oris or whatever.
Yeah. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
I believe those sold 31 million copies apiece. Yep. Each. Not.
It's just a fantastic. It's just fantastic.
It is a well-loved series among the world. It's probably like
it's universally loved.
It is,
and the beauty of it is, I remember being young and playing lots of Pokemon games, watching the anime, lots of different stuff, and I remember my parents, it's just a fad. It'll be just like Ninja Turtles, and now to an extent they were true. I feel like America kind of, like, the peak of Pokemon hype, I feel like, was the Gold and Silver. Like, that was whenever the train, but that was when the fad ended.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who loved it still stuck with, Ruby and Sapphire, Now, admittedly, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Well, let's start with Red and Blue.
Yeah.
And Yellow.
Or more aptly, the first generation, which, for anybody who doesn't know, was Red and Green in Japan.
Yep.
And Blue was actually an updated port, which fixed a few glitches, not all of them.
And gave it much better sprite art.
Yeah. And and just improved everything over with the previous rendition is what our Red and Blue is, and to Yellow
based off of Blue.
Is based off of that Blue version with the exclusives of Red and Green, respectively.
And since the canon names for the protagonist and the rival are based off of the versions, that means in America the protagonist is Red officially.
Mm-hmm.
Antagonist. And that's another thing I would like to go into, but the point is in Japan it's green, but there's also another character named Blue who's a girl, but in America she's green.
Yeah. She is in Fire Red and Leaf Green. You had the option of choosing a girl character.
Actually, she's a separate character. She's based off of a design from the same time, but her canon.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
But I thought she was the basis for Green in America.
Perhaps. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I do believe she is the basis for Green, and so those are the canon names for the protagonist. Obviously, we've
Ash is not the main character.
Ash is. It is widely accepted that the Pokemon anime takes place in a different universe or timeline than the Pokemon games. Which all the Pokemon games are connected in some way, shape, or form. Which even though they take place countries apart, and they
happen like I think it's Sinnoh and the Sinnoh and Johto stories happen at the same time, and guess who forgot to silence their phone?
Oh, I thought you were blaming me for something there for a second. I'm like, my phone is always on silent.
But yeah, Red and Blue. Steve, which version did you have?
I've always been the guy who, despite my favorite color being blue, always have gotten the warm colors. Red, ruby, gold, white.
White hot.
And stuff like that. Red was my first version, and to say that I love this series so much is that I think in my red cartridge for my Game Boy, I think I clocked over 200 hours on that one cartridge.
Yeah.
But that's only on one save file, and
Did you turn down the game audio?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
I clocked over 200 hours on the last save file that I had, and I've started over a couple times because I'd take and transfer my Pokemon over to
someone else's cartridge, or
someone else's cartridge. Like, hey, I'm going to go get me a new starter or whatever, and then I would go through and I'd play it again. And there's multiple games on which I played 40 plus hours because I would beat the game, and I actually got to where I could go through and beat the game fairly quickly, not speedrun worthy of Red and Blue without a strategy guide or anything because I had most of the game memorized. Of course, that being said, that's better part of 20 years ago that I did this, and I've just restarted playing Red with the release of the anniversary versions of Red and Blue on the 3DS eShop.
I actually just bought my version. I bought Blue. Typically, and there are
exceptions
because my first copy was Red. Because back in the day, my favorite color was red. Anymore, I'm a purple guy. People who know me, people who know my channel and stuff. But there's... The red version was so great, and I beat the heck out of it. I played it so much. And then I beat it, and that was the first time that I can remember ever buying the same copy of a game twice. I bought the yellow version whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And that was a huge luxury for me. I'm like, oh, I could play through the game again, but with Pikachu and there's characters from the anime?
Yeah, because wasn't Jesse and James replaced most of the
grunts and yeah.
But one of the things to take from the series is I technically missed the second generation of Pokemon.
That's right. I remember you telling me about that.
I didn't get to play the second generation until Heart Gold came out, in which I got Heart Gold because I always get the warm color. It's almost tradition now. It's like, oh, new versions announced.
Yep.
Which one are you getting? Which one's the warm color?
Yep. So we've already decided. I'm getting Moon. He's getting Sun.
And that was even kind of true for the Digimon game, like Dusk and Dawn.
Yeah, the Digimon World DS or Digimon World Dusk and Dawn.
Yeah, I got Dawn because it was red colored and it's always been tradition. And when X and Y came out, the conundrum came out. I was like, they're not colors, but Y had the red letter and X had the blue letter. So,
I feel like the only time we ever had one of the conundrums that we came up with was whenever
I think it was Black and
Black
White.
and White. And briefly we did talk about Diamond and Pearl. We were trying to decide, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, but I like the Pokemon on Diamond a lot." And you were like, "Yeah, I like Pink Godzilla."
Yeah. But I can't actually say like a lot of I can't remember a lot of my fondness for Diamond and Pearl. I remember I played it a lot. I remember I got like Magnezone, and I went
Introduced one of my favorites, freaking Weavile.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But once again, we're jumping ahead.
again.
Okay.
And then so I missed the second generation.
I didn't. I had Silver,
Yeah.
and that blew my mind. Whenever it's like, I beat the game, and the whole other previous game is in it. You know, granted an abridged version, but I love this.
I know. I played this and I saw the little skip thing. I was like, wow, this is funny.
But yeah, for my money, the Johto games are easily one of the best. For the longest time, it was my favorite generation.
Okay, so like I missed that generation because for one, I never got a Game Boy Color,
Right.
which was the requirement.
Well, only for Crystal.
Was it?
Yep. You could Silver and Gold worked for original Game Boy because Sandon had it, I think.
See, I don't remember that. Like, I thought it was a Game Boy Color and I couldn't get it. But then, like, on my when I turned 16,
That's our friend Molly.
my dog, my
She
Doge,
loves attention.
she loves
She
attention.
loves me mostly.
Okay, so on my whenever I was 16 years old, which is coming up to being over 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was going on a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
and I convinced my parents to buy me a GBA SP. Okay, and with that GBA, because we were going to go on a road trip for vacation, and for vacation we were going like across the country. This is like first time I've ever had a cross the country thing, and I was like, I need me something to do. So my parents were like, well, we got some money, because I didn't come from a fortunate household. Money was a little bit tight, so I go, well, there's this. I didn't know about Ruby or Sapphire. I really didn't,
Right.
because I think I was so far out of the loop of gaming at that point. I think I was mostly focused on playing my Nintendo 64. Which was the latest system that I had, and this was back in 2003.
Yeah, that's when they came out.
Yeah, 2003. So like that was the latest system that I had was the Nintendo 64. So I got my
Which this is an aside, but I believe you and I got our GameCubes the same year.
yeah. I think we actually got them the same day.
We did. Christmas. 2000. That would be 2003.
No, 2005.
2005.
It was no.
It was the year Wind Waker came out.
Because I got the bonus disc.
Right. Well, I got the anniversary collection, and you got the
Yeah.
Zelda, the Wind Waker.
Yeah, and because we didn't start hanging. Well, we started hanging out about like 2003. It might have been 2003, 2004. Because
I believe we were in 7th grade. No, 8th.
well, because we didn't start hanging out until we were in 10th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. We just knew of each other, I suppose.
yeah. And then that fateful day when we were in like I think we were like in like ancient world literature or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like, you like the. Hey, we used to like stuff together.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, I remember. Yeah, because the defining moment. I've talked about this before, but I love it because I looked over and he's doodling Link on his notebook or whatever, and I'm like, "Hey, you like Zelda?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I love Zelda." And I was like, "Oh, I Zelda's cool, you know." He's like, "That's cool." And, well, what kind of other games you like? And I was like, "Oh, well, I've been playing a lot of F-Zero lately. I love F-Zero." Oh. Do you want to come over after school and play some F-Zero? Yes.
yes.
And we played N64 and Dreamcast, and it was a day that shall live in infamy.
Actually, one of the points was Dungeon Dice Monsters, but we're getting too far off topic.
Yeah,
here.
we are.
Okay, so GBA SP, and there were 2 games I got. One of them was Ruby, Pokemon Ruby, and Mega Man Zero.
Ooh, good choices.
Yeah. Well, I had never heard of Mega Man Zero. I was like, I love Mega Man though, and and the box art was kind of cool, and I was like, man, this. And I
This Zero chick's kind of hot.
Oh, I already knew who Zero was because I was a big Mega Man. But I was sitting there playing. I was like, this is an amazing experience because I've recently got back in Pokemon. I was like, it's in color. I had not played the GBA Advance, and I picked it up and I started playing. And I was like, there were so many new things like abilities. Hold items.
Gender and
Well, I knew about gender because I knew about gold and silver because
right.
I was trying to get into like one of the illegal leaked copies online or whatever online and the cracked versions or whatever that had the bad translations and I knew a couple friends who were playing those and I was trying to get those and darn dial-up internet not
right.
So I was playing this, and I chose. I didn't know it, but I chose in that generation my favorite starter of all time.
Yep.
Torchic, and his evolution, Blaziken. He's like my favorite starter, and that's probably like I was one of those people whenever when we were starting to get the remakes, because we got Fire Red and Leaf Green. Mm-hmm. I obviously got Fire Red.
I got Leaf Green.
And I was like, they have an inkling for remaking Pokemon, and then they made Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and they were like, next obvious thing is Ruby and Sapphire, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't picked up
Oris
Omega Ruby because I just haven't picked it up yet because I almost felt no need to because whenever the main reason why I would ever pick it up is to get a Torchic, and that was the bonus of it whenever X and Y released, and I played through the entire game with my Torchic, my Mega Blaziken. I killed everything with it. He is still my highest level character on that game. So
for me personally, I fell out of Pokemon after Silver. And Steven was actually the one who got me back into it because I was like, oh yeah, I remember playing Pokemon. I was like, that seems like that's kind of for babies. And Steven's like, well, no, they're still fun. In fact, they just came out with the new version, and I was like, oh really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I played through Ruby, and so we ended up running up to GameStop, and actually at that time it was probably an EB Games.
I think it was EB Games because it was because GameStop at that point was only in the mall around here, and EB Games was what was on the little shopping centers outside.
Mm-hmm. And we got but I went in and I came out the proud, actually the ashamed owner because I didn't realize that they're games that everyone can enjoy, but I came out sheepishly carrying a copy of Pokemon Emerald, which I still have to this day. And it was just a great game, and I had so much fun. And then the fact that they actually changed the story for Emerald confused us to no end. I was like, yeah, I just beat the last gym leader. And you're like, oh, or no.
It was Wallace.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I beat Juan. And you're like, who the hell is Juan? And I was like, no, Juan. He was the gym leader before Wallace. Wallace is the champion. Well, then where's Steven? And I was like, Steven, are you talking about that guy that keeps running into me? Oh, yeah. And then he was like, well, what, did you meet Team Magma? And I was like, well, yeah, I've been dealing with them and Team Aqua. What?
Yeah. But I think we need to just take a step back to Red and Blue real quick. Because we got to talk about one of the biggest points of contention and of us ever knowing each other.
Right.
This guy right here.
I was a douche.
He wouldn't let me use his link cable.
I was one of the lucky children as a kid who had, you know, whenever I got my Game Boy Color and I got my first game, actually, my first game that I bought for it was Zelda DX.
Link's Awakening?
Link's Awakening, which is my favorite Zelda. And after that, with my next like allowance or birthday money or whatever it was, I got a copy of Pokemon Red. And then whenever I took it to school and they were like, "We can trade," I was like, "Mom, can I get one of those link cable things?" I guess so. And I'm like, "Well, I need it to trade with friends." And then I went to school and traded with friends, and I don't know why I was such a douche to you.
Because I think me and you were trying to hang out with the same people, and we didn't believe we could hang out.
We were like rivals. Okay, yeah.
But anyways,
We were like, there's only room for one nerd in this group, even though we were all nerds.
Yeah, super nerds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, me and him bonded over Pokemon, and one of our friendship bloomed. If you will, we bloomed over Pokemon, and we were just like, man, we would battle.
Outside of the first two generations, we played through every generation together.
I picked up every like it's almost like Hallmark is like, oh, games come out, we both go together and we buy each other's copy. It's like gift.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
So probably the same thing with Sun and Moon. Which okay, so with our love of Pokemon, we obviously have favorites.
Yep.
How
about let's list a couple of our favorites.
Should I list my absolute favorite?
I was gonna say of each, like I was gonna say favorite region.
Favorite region. Okay, like my favorite region of Pokemon. I would have to say, like, whenever it comes to a list of all the Pokemon I like to play with, Kanto has to be my favorite region. And it's not like I don't like the Pokemon from other regions. I think some of them are brilliantly designed. But it's those moments that I've spent 200 hours plus playing Pokemon in this region, and I have those Pokemon, like, I picked up the red version on the 3DS, and I go, immediately I have to have this list of Pokemon in my party. And of course, I do have my favorite from Hoenn and Johto, Sinnoh. I'm going to kill myself because I don't remember every single region.
There's Kanto, Johto, Hoenn,
Sinnoh. I can't think of New York and I can't think of France.
Oh, jeez, come on. I was actually just talking about this the other day.
Anyways,
New York and France.
New York and France.
Yeah.
It's
my problem with the New York region is that all the names were hard to remember for the towns. Because they were all named after cloud formations.
Yeah.
Okay, so so your favorite region is
Unova and Kalos.
Yeah. Your favorite region is
Kanto.
Kanto. Mine's probably like a toss-up between either Johto. I have a really soft spot for Hoenn, but at the same time, Unova. I loved Unova just simply for the fact that I loved that you can traverse the entire game world without needing HMs. I thought it was really well designed in that sense.
Well, okay, so...
But as for Pokemon that I love the most, actually Unova has a couple of my favorite Pokemon of all time, including Chandelure.
Yeah, Unova... No, Sinnoh was whenever they did, like... It was almost a relaunch of the series where...
It was.
Before fighting the Elite Four, you could only catch Pokemon unique to that
generation.
To that generation. And then afterwards you got, oh, hey, there's special areas where, like, more Pokemon are now spawning in these areas where you can catch previous generation of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? Sinnoh was Diamond and Pearl.
Yep.
Okay, so in Diamond and Pearl, I did pick up a couple favorite Pokemon.
Myself as well.
Let's see. I'm going. Scolipede.
Yes.
I definitely learned to like that one. It's okay. I feel old right now because I'm having a hard time like really remembering a lot of the Pokemon that come.
There's
from
a lot to remember.
Yeah, over 700. It's okay. So, and was it Black and White? There were. What was it? I'm trying to think of like some of the Pokemon that are in Black and White, cause
Yeah. Special note I feel goes to Black and White, and I love Black and White for doing not Black and White, Generation 5.
yeah, well,
Because-
that's Gen 5.
No, that's what I'm saying is like big props to them for, trying for a relaunch of the series, and that was great. But then the idea of Black and White 2, the idea instead of having just an upgraded version, no, this is a sequel. This takes place 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
This is the landscape is different. One of your friends, your rival in Black 1 or White 1, is a gym leader in Black 2 or White 2.
Oh, this is I'm looking at this. Scolipede came from Gen 5, not Gen 4. And this one you had like Baneri and Lapani, Hunchcrow, Miss Magius.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like
Good dark types.
well like more evolutions of previously unevolved Pokemon came along. Mr. Mime Jr. Oh, and one of my favorite dragons of all time, Garchomp.
Yeah. I'm not...
And the patron saint himself of fighting, Lucario.
Well, for my money, whenever I go for fighting Pokemon, I tend to go for Throw.
Yeah.
Throw's one of my favorites.
Well, he was in Unova, but I'm looking at the list here on Cerebi, and we got like all the evolutions of like the single, like without evolutions from first generation, like Tangrowth, Electivire, Magmortar. Then there's Togekiss, Yagmega, and
Leafeon and Glaceon. two
Leafeon,
of my
Glaceon,
favorites.
a Geyser, Mamoswine, Gallade, which was the alternate.
That was the one thing that I loved about Sinnoh was that there was a lot of ice types, which is one of
Oh
my
yeah,
favorites.
look, Frostlass.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, Frost Ghost?
Oh, look at that one. That's pretty cool. But yeah, okay. So favorite region is that. How about? Do you have a favorite gym leader?
Okay, one of my favorite gym leaders I've ever fought was who was it? He always Hoenn. He was the electric gym leader from Hoenn.
Watson.
Watson, yeah. I really like him. I've always had I really love the electric gym leader because for a long time
They
electric
have a
was
lot of personality.
oh they always make them have the best personality. There's that and the fire gym leader. What's her face?
Blaine and Flannery. I
Flannery.
love Flannery.
Flannery's.
She's got a super cool design.
Yeah. Gym leaders. Elite Four experiences.
Oh, I love. Is her name Phoebe from X and Y? She was the ghost user.
Well, there's that.
I love her. I love Lorelei.
Yeah. There was. Well, hold on. Let's talk about the Elite Four themselves, not just a
Right.
single.
Well, the idea of the Elite Four, because Okay, so you got to realize playing this game, and I ruined it for me because I had a strategy guide, but I didn't know better at the time. Um, it's like you're going through and you're fighting these 8 guys, and you're like, oh, there are 8 gym leaders, and like, for all intents and purposes, that's all I know. There are 8 guys that I have to beat to be a Pokemon master. And then it's like, no, then you get to go take place in the final, you have to fight the last 4 dudes. And you're like, wait a minute, what? I mean, like, especially because I had never played an RPG at this point. And, like, this is all new to me. And it's just super cool. Like, it's kind of, I never thought about it until Dan Avidan was having Pokemon explained to him by Aaron. And he was like, wait, so how many guys do we have to fight? And he was like, well, there's 8 big guys. And then after that, there's 4 big guys. And then there's one final guy. And it's like, and spoiler alert, but it's your best friend from when you were growing up. And he's not so much a douche anymore.
Okay, so the Elite Four game changed in Unova because
right, you didn't have to. You didn't get to fight the champion at first.
Well, and Unova, well, there was also the fact that you could choose which one to fight and in what order.
Yeah.
Which it made like, oh, like, well, I know the Pokemon that I have the strongest are good against this type. I could at least defeat and get a little bit of experience and then just keep grinding if I have to, because that's what I generally end up having to do.
Well, and then that's as much as a weak spot I have for Hoenn. It's by far the worst region for preparing for the Elite Four, because their Victory Road only has level up to level like almost 46 Hariyamas or whatever,
and then
the Elite Four is like 60.
I think they jumped to 55 to start off with. I think I might be wrong. I think it might actually be 50, and I think they finish off at 60. And then, but okay, so I'm sitting here looking at the list, like just coming through the list of Pokemon that I like. Unova had like Raggenrola, Boldore, and Gigalith, and like Timbre, Girder, really and cool. Conkeldurr. Mm-hmm. Sock and Throw.
Yep.
Scolipede. There was a lot of good Pokemon, but I think okay, so the legendaries are really good. Like when you get down to the legendaries, you got Zekrom and Reshiram, and then you had the Thundercloud trio or whatever. Mm-hmm. And those were really
Thundurus,
cool.
Landorus, and
Vizarin.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually caught those. I know them and Keldeo all had like alternate forms.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the genie ones.
These are the genie ones, I think.
No. Keldeo was part of the. It was Virizion.
Here's Virizion.
Yeah, they were quadrupeds.
Well, there's those quadrupeds, but hold on. It would I think the Cloud duo were let's see, there was Tornadus and Thundurus, which are based on the Japanese lore of Raijin and Fujin. Mm-hmm. And they had alternate forms.
Well, and then there's another one.
Is it this one? That's not it. Anyways, they were based on the legend of Raijin and Fujin in Japan. Landorus. There we go. Mm-hmm. But Kalos, I'm sitting here looking at the list of Kalos. We actually had a really good set of starters because to me like they really stuck out. Like obviously Greninja because he's in Smash, but
Chespin is awesome too.
Yeah, Chespin. Fennekin was. I really like Fennekin. It's like I finally got a Fox starter.
Well, and it's based off like a witch.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Go-Goat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Go-Goat. He's one of my. He's my physical sweeper. Or actually, no, he's my wall.
Yeah. How about the Aegislash line?
That's super cool.
The Inkay line. And okay.
Goodra.
And the Goodra line. And Kalos introduced my favorite fossil Pokemon of all time.
Tyrantrum.
Tyrantrum.
Yep.
He was my sweeper for a long time. And then, and oh man, like, I really liked a lot of what, like the design of some of the characters like Pumpkaboo and Phanthump and like.
There's a lot of good ghost ones, and that's one of my favorite types.
And it introduced the fairy type.
Yep.
Because they
completely changed the game.
It did. Especially since like all of a sudden Jigglypuff can take down Dragonites.
Now we've been talking about some of your favorites, Steve, but I haven't talked a whole lot about mine.
Well, I really haven't gone to my like absolute favorite list, but I'm really noting notable Pokemon in my opinion.
Right.
So like let's go ahead and talk about let's get your ideal team out there.
My ideal team involves all of my favorite Pokemon, and most of them are adorable.
And mostly sphere-like, I think.
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time, my most favorite, is Bulbasaur. He's a lovable little lettuce, and I love him, and I want one in real life. Let's see. I would have a Bulbasaur. I would have a Spheal in his evolution line.
Walrein.
Yep. Where's my sprint meter? Oh, I see it. Let's see. I would have those two. I would have for my wall. I would have a Pachirisu, who debuted in Sinnoh.
Pachirisu. Oh my gosh,
he's ridiculous.
I remember
I've seen him take a magnitude 10 and shrug it off.
I remember when you discovered him. You were like, I think you were like fighting him. It's like, oh, this little squirrel, I'm gonna just knock it out, and it just took hit after hit, and you're just like, what in the world is going on with this squirrel? And then all of a sudden
have one.
You must have one. And I mean, we could look at the stats here of what he's really got here.
What his base is.
And okay, so like the max stats for like defense, he's got like 215 defense and 239. Oh no. With
he has even better special defense.
Yeah, that's like when you get like magnitude, that's a special move. So much defense. He is a tank. Like at the max stat, he can get 306, which is really good. And like okay, so you got Bulbasaur,
Bulbasaur, Spheal,
Pachirisu.
You gotta have a fire type, so I'm gonna have oh my goodness, Chandelure's base form. Litwick. Let's see. You need a flyer, right? As far as flyers go, there's not a ton that I super like, but I really love in Pokemon Oris. I love using Latias because you actually get a fly around on her. And there's that. That would be awesome. And then, for my special defense, my special attack sweeper, I gotta go with Alakazam. So is that 5 or 6?
I think that's actually 7, but...
Is it?
Hold on. You got Bulbasaur, Spheal, Pachirisu, Litwick,
Latios,
and that's 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. There's my ideal team.
So my ideal team is also composed of my favorite Pokemon, and that is okay. So start off strong. I'm gonna tell you my favorite Pokemon of all time. You know what it is.
I know what it is.
Oh, I got a spiritual bond with Whitney because it's Miltank. Oh my god.
That wasn't what I was expecting.
You know I love my Miltanks.
I know you do love your Miltank. I was half expecting you to say, let's see, I need credits. I was half expecting you to say, Blaziken, which, but I do know that you love, there's a lot of good normal types, and actually, I didn't include an evolution.
Okay, well go ahead and get your evolution out of your system.
if I'm gonna have an evolution, I absolutely have to have an Umbreon.
Yeah. Okay, so Miltank, absolute number one favorite Pokemon. That's probably my big Gen 2 Pokemon is Miltank. And there was a lot of good, like I mean we got like the two new EVA evolutions in that when it was like Espeon and Umbreon and stuff like that. But like that was like I really like the normal types in that series. Like I like the Snubbull and stuff like that. But whenever I have to get my normal type Pokemon, and I do love normal type Pokemon because there's so much. They're like everybody's like normal type Pokemon. They're so weak. I'm like, but they're so versatile. They're like the human, race in like an RPG. Is like they're so versatile. They don't do one thing great unless you train them to do it. But like there's always that like they can learn so many different types of moves. Some of the strongest moves are normal typed, in which you get the
Hyper Beam,
Hyper Beam,
Mega Punch.
I think Mega Punch is actually a fighting type move.
Oh, is it?
What is Giga Impact? The normal version, of the physical version of Hyper Beam, which Miltank can learn. Obviously, like you can learn rock moves like Roll Out, and it's got Milk Drink, and like you can get like Headbutt for Psychic Attack.
That's I mean, one of my favorite physical sweepers of all time is a normal type, and it's Chansey.
Yeah.
Chansey.
Chansey is not a physical sweeper. It's a wall.
Oh, she's a wall. Yeah.
It's a toxic wall.
Toxic wall. I always have Mega Punch though.
Yeah, but like you're not gonna do much damage. You're gonna take a lot of hits, and you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna put leftovers on it and just like absorb, and and
whenever you get low, soft boiled.
So there's that, and then when I talk about playing back through Red, I do have that one Pokemon I have to get early in the game, and it's Nidoking. Nidoking. Okay, so the story behind Nidoking and my love of Nidoking. Before I ever got my copy of Red, I borrowed Sandon's copy of Blue. Told me not to save, right?
Right.
I got up to Lieutenant Surge
Without saving.
And
your Game Boy's battery died?
No.
No?
I had fresh batteries.
Oh,
I had fresh batteries. And I physically swept the first 3 gym leaders. Well, aside from Brock, because I asked him what to choose. He goes, choose Bulbasaur. It's fairly easy if you want to just get into the game and you're just gonna play for a little while. I'm like, okay. I caught me a Nidoran, and I think he might even let me borrow a strategy guide or whatever, and that's how I found out how to evolve Nidoking. So there's and then Nidoking has always been like that, like physical sweeper, and then like I always like the kind of like those dinosaur type monsters because like they kind of remind me of like the creatures from Adventure Island 2, like the dinosaurs you ride, right?
Yep.
Because they had very similar styles, and in the lieu of that, my next team member on my Pokemon team has to be Rhydon. He is my rock type. He's also for the most part my surfer, which
he can learn surf.
Yes,
wow.
So can Rhydon can learn surf. So can Nidoking. So like whenever I needed that water type move, I just Rhydon. I surfed with him. Of course, like I mostly had a Lapras like that because Lapras is an HM whore. So
the best HM whore, however, is Bidoof.
Bidoof is the dumbest looking Pokemon, but he's the most useful.
Yep. I kind of love him anymore. He grew on me.
Well, I know, but he was just like, but like he was that joke.
Yeah.
He was literally.
You were like, what's the new Rattata gonna look like? And
and everybody saw it, it's like it's a retard. It's literally like because everybody's like it looks like it's the closest thing to looking like a Pokemon with Down syndrome, like to be honest, and like no offense, but it's just kind of what we thought. It's just like a goofy, like something happened in gestation that just made it look dumb, So Bidoof, but let's see, like water type Pokemon, because it's hard to choose a water type Pokemon. It
Because
really
there's so many and they're so great.
hold on. It's because water type Pokemon make up the largest percent of any one type Pokemon. Because they almost keep it true to real life, because most species are aquatic. Like if you ever seen a list of where things live, there's like very few things, like nothing truly lives in the air, but there are flyers, and then there are those who live on the ground, on land, and then like 90% of the list would be live in water.
Right.
You know, and they kind of mimic that in the Pokemon universe, and the Pokemon universe is very smart about the design of the Pokemon of the regions, because if you look at like where they're located in the world based on location, geography, and stuff like that, the types of
That makes sense.
the types of Pokemon make sense. Like I think, what was it, Unova? It was either Unova or Kalos had the most fire type Pokemon, because it was I think because it was near the equator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like water type Pokemon, like I'll go back to Gen 1. I have like my favorites. Like I ran around with, like, I used to have a whole team of water Pokemon for some reason, because I liked like Starmie, Dugong, Cloyster, Omanite, Omastar, Kabutops, and just all the kinds of Pokemon with a water type, because they were cool. They had really cool designs.
They did.
And I really got to give it up to, I think I might have to choose Omastar for this one, because I mean, there's a lot of fun water types. I could go Wailord.
Yeah, he was a cool one.
Because he was a water wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and on this list, I really try not to use legendaries, but there are those that are pseudo legendaries and actually have legendary stats. And
I do know that you love your Tyranitar.
I do love my Tyranitar, but he's not on the list of my team, because anything my Tyranitar can do, my Rhydon can do. So like if I had to build a team that's a little bit balanced, because Tyranitar is a dark ground type, which I've already got 2 ground types in Nidoking and Rhydon.
Mm-hmm.
So like and one of the coolest things about Rhydon is if you catch the right one, they have Lightning Rod. Mm-hmm. So in like double battles and stuff like that, you got a water type going along with it. It's got Lightning Rod. It'll catch all the lightning attacks, and it's unaffected by the attack.
Yep.
So like I like that, but like whenever I talk about like pseudo legendaries, I have to go back to the one that was supposedly going to be one of the legendary Pokemon from the first generation. One of my favorite fire types of all time, and it's
I
not
know who you're gonna say.
It's Arcanine.
It's Pika-Blue.
Pika-Blue. Man, I can almost choose Azumarill as like one of my favorite water types too, because so good. But
So great, and then with rollout, and then thick fat.
man, it's like it was like, you got fire types. You're like, I'm not going to be affected at all, like at all. Like it was like 1/8 the damage, or 1/4 the damage really, but there's just, man, there's just a lot
These
of
guys won't leave me alone.
yeah. I don't know. There's like I would choose a water type, but like flyers, there's so many flyers out there. Have like a fond memory of like my Pidgeot, and but I think I'm gonna take 2 spots here. Like a flying grass type.
Mm-hmm.
Tropius. From the Hoenn region.
Interesting choice.
I always make the joke because like whenever they were announcing new Mega Evolutions, I was just like, give me a Megatropius. Give me a Megatropius. Just like it was like one of the Pokemon I thought needed a Mega Evolution, because like I thought he was kind of cool, and like he's one of the many Hoenn Pokemon that I really like. Let's see. So far I've gone Miltank, Nidoking, Rhydon, Right on. Arcanine, Tropius. Let's toss in a. I want to toss in a dark type in there. Well,
Oh, I didn't have an ice type on my team either. My Sneasel.
or Weavile.
Mm-hmm.
Get both ice and dark at the same time.
Yep.
Let's see. It's kind of hard. I got to get that special sweeper in there. Because most of mine are very, very physical sweepers.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, like a physical sweeper. I mean a special sweeper. Well, there's Arcanine, but like, I got to get out there like. Oh, I almost want to do one like I thought it was like one of the coolest designed Pokemon when I first ran into it.
Yeah.
Let's just say I wasn't necessarily impressed with his Mega Evolution as much as I was most other Mega Evolutions.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the disaster Pokemon. Absol.
Oh, Absol. Super cool.
Like, I really like the design of and he's a dark type, but he had flying type moves because he could control the wind, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
You know? He'd be like one of those bird type Pokemon.
Yeah.
So like we have our favorite Pokemon. This is like
I think both of us probably had a representative from nearly every gen.
yeah. Honorable mentions: Scolipede, Lucario.
See, I was never a fan of Lucario.
I liked Lucario because I thought I was like he's a really cool designed Pokemon, you know, and they made a movie about it, which was actually really cool. I liked that movie, because like that was before they changed the voice actors over from like they still had the like original voice actor for Ash and everything like that, and that was like before they decided to switch over, before the Pokemon company took over, right? And they started doing all the animation. Because I know there's like all like they changed the eyes. They actually gave color to the eyes and everything like that. They changed like Ash seemed to become even more of a little kid, kind of
Looking older.
I know. And then and Brock stopped being his companion.
Mm-hmm.
I know because like, there was all like somehow Brock always found his way to being his companion up until like I think it was Unova.
Mm-hmm.
And then he
And then I think the sole companion for Unova was the female player character, right? No, 'cause
no,
you
it's the
had
gym leader.
Gym leader. I can't remember her name.
it was
I really like her design though. She was super cute.
I think she was the bug gym leader, wasn't she?
She was.
And then what was the beauty contest guy?
No, he was the first gym leader. Remember, it was the trio. It was depending on But no, yeah, he was a contest. He was what do they call him? Instead of a trainer, they call him something different.
Yeah. There's those. He had green hair.
Yeah, his name Ceylon.
Yeah. He was he was a companion. I stopped watching at that point. Because Diamond and Pearl was the last because that's where Lucario is. Unova. One of my favorite Pokemon from the Unova was Zoroark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I like foxes and he had one of the coolest abilities, like the disguise ability. There was nothing cooler than toss out a Pokemon like, hey, I know you might start with a water type Pokemon, so I'm going to have set up my team to where you think you're going to super affect me, and you're gonna be like Hydro Pump, and it was like that did damage.
But
like
not as much as you should.
But it's like, what? And then all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, Zoroark.
The illusion faded.
Yeah. That was actually like a neat gimmick, you know?
Way better than some of the other gimmick Pokemon. Like
Yeah.
Chatot.
Yeah.
Their whole gimmick was the it spoke, like you could record your own voice for it or whatever.
Yeah.
What did I just? Huh. Anyway,
Your woman needs to put on pants. I just realized that.
I went to buy some, and all I could afford was a jacket.
See, I was on a side note here in Saints Row 4
Re-elected.
re-elected. My president is still rolling around in his little sweater vest and everything like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, he's still looking all like 1950s.
I love the takedowns.
See, I haven't even used those.
Yeah, you just run and you hit the attack button.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you do usually a wrestling move.
Yeah.
And with the RKO out of nowhere. And I also love if you hit come on. If you run at a car and you tap the get in button, you jump and kick them out.
Oh, nice.
See, and it's called a Bodukin.
Bodukin. Nice.
Bodukin.
But okay, so I mean, there's definitely a lot to be said for the Pokemon series. I mean,
The fact that it single-handedly got me into trading card games.
I think that's actually where we picked up. Like I definitely remember picking up the Pokemon trading card game. I'm like, oh, this seems like so cool. It's more Pokemon stuff because I was obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with it for like the first 2 years that I played Pokemon. I was like so obsessed. I was drawing art and doing all that kind of stuff. And
My walls were covered in drawings of Ash Ketchum and friends.
yeah. Man, so good.
It really is. Well, let's talk about the social aspect. Will you get that door?
Yeah.
The dog knocked it open. Back when we were kids, you kind of didn't have a social life if you didn't have a Game Boy and a copy of Pokemon.
Well, if you're a nerd.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if they're listening to this, they probably are.
Yeah, well, because that was how you got together with your friends, kind of, and to
To trade and battle, and you'd show off, like, I remember, and I hadn't trained them up, so they were worthless, but I remember going up to Sandon and being like, hey, let's battle. Okay. And then I bust out a Mewtwo, 3 legendaries, a fully evolved starter, and some other favorite that I would have.
yeah.
And I was like, what? What?
Well, I think we could also talk about. I think one of the things we haven't talked about is the spin-off games.
Yes, including some of my favorites.
The Mystery Dungeon series.
Mystery Dungeons is one of my favorite.
Which actually isn't like the Pokemon isn't like the original Mystery Dungeon games.
Yeah.
Because that was like something almost exclusive to Japan, and that's how they brought the Mystery Dungeon series over to us.
Yep.
Was then there was which I played like the first one, and I enjoyed quite a bit. I think
I played.
I think
I played all of them actually.
because I've only played the first one.
Oh, I haven't played Super.
And you had to answer a questionnaire to figure out what Pokemon you are. Right? Well, I kept resetting the game over until I got the Pokemon I wanted.
Right.
You know.
Me too. And I did it until I freaking got an Eevee, and then I found out you couldn't evolve if you were Eevee.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I want to talk about this for a second, so I'm going to interrupt you. Hope that's okay.
Glory to the Overlord.
What?
It was written on the wall.
Oh. I want a normal type evolution.
Because we thought, what was it? Sylveon.
Sylveon was going to be one.
But they had to make it fairy type.
Mm-hmm. But I would love... That's the thing. It's always bothered me about Eevee is that it's like he's not that great unless you evolve him because his base stats are low. But it's like I like you how you are, Eevee. Don't feel sad.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely okay. So What was he talking about?
Sorry. Spin-off games.
Spin-off games. The Mystery Dungeon game. I cheated to
Right.
get, you know, and I was like, okay, so I played it and I enjoyed it quite a bit until I think I stopped playing, and whenever all of a sudden I had to go up against like a Zapdos or something, I'm like, why am I facing legendaries in like the third dungeon? You know?
Mm-hmm. Let's not forget the original spin-off that I think we all played. Pokemon Pinball.
I never played Pokemon Pinball.
Oh, it was tons of fun.
Well, there's Pokemon Pinball, and then there's
The trading card game.
there was a trading card game, but one of the spin-offs that always come to my mind was the stadium games, and the Coliseum and XD respectively. You know, like the 3D games, which were like, oh, we're gonna finally get a 3D Pokemon adventure. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't, but it was like Stadium was that thing where you could just attach your Game Boy game through the transfer pack and battle in 3D.
Play in the Dodrio Stadium or the Dodrio Tower.
Yeah.
Play 3 times as fast.
Then, there was that, and I think I actually went through an entire playthrough in Pokemon Stadium with the triple speed, and it was amazing. And I was like, yeah, well, they should have a run feature in the game. And then they put a run feature in the game, and it was amazing. So there's that.
I'm running fast without pants.
I think that's how we all should run fast, is without pants. There is like, I think one of the most one of the popular ones that came out like for a while was like whenever they started doing like the puzzle games like Troze and
Pokemon Picross.
Picross.
Freaking Pokemon Puzzle League and Pokemon Puzzle Challenge.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction to the Panel de Pon series.
Yeah.
One of my favorite puzzle game series.
And what's awfully cool is that there's actually the Pokemon series is an entry point to a lot of games. And one of my favorite entry points was the Nagonaba's Ambition series. Or Pokemon Conquest. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there was definitely... There's so much room for, like, a discussion on this, and we can make this a 2-hour podcast if...
We could easily.
Oh, so easily.
What's another... let's see. How about some failed spin-offs? Hey You Pikachu, Pokemon Channel. I'm going to go ahead and say Battle Revolution.
I don't think Battle Revolution was a failed thing. I don't think people played it. I think that was the main point of failure. I don't think it wasn't that it wasn't well designed, because
it was, but the main point of fact is that they got rid of the rental feature, and that was how like Steven and I liked playing, you know.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, we don't have these Pokemon, but let's go ahead and let's choose
let's see what happens if Zapdos fights a Mewtwo.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Or if hey, let's each choose a base level starter, a type that's good against it. You know, like I could kind of like do like theme fights and just keep and just build a team on like based on a concept of like, hey, let's do low level Pokemon, let's do high level Pokemon, let's do unevolved Pokemon, max evolved Pokemon.
And then they had great game modes in Coliseum that I don't remember if they came back in Battle Revolution, because I did play it, but briefly.
Well, the Coliseum,
like
the Coliseum is one of the 3D adventure Pokemon.
I'm sorry, Battle Revolution.
Stadium.
No, I'm talking about Battle Revolution.
I know, but you're talking about, but you kept saying Coliseum, but
okay.
As game modes, Coliseum was one of the RPGs.
But
with Shadow Pokemon.
But Battle Revolution, like, did it have like, say, you know, the Petite Cup and like all the different little rule sets that were a lot of fun? Your cat and dog are fighting like cats and dogs. Actually, they're just playing, but
cats and dogs getting married and
rioting in the streets
of utter anarchy. Cats and dogs living together. Um,
But yeah, let's how about Pokemon imitators?
okay.
Just very briefly. Like,
Oh, okay. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. A lot of people view Digimon as a Pokemon imitator. Now, in all truth, I do believe the concept of Digimon is far older than Pokemon was like
'Cause it was-
executed because
it was
Pokemon
kind of an
can-
extension of the Tamagotchi.
it was the extension of the Tamagotchi. But what is it? The creator of Pokemon had been working with the idea for like at least 10 years before that. But that doesn't mean like it's one of those things where it was in development, but it wasn't one of those release things. So it really couldn't be copied per se. But the Tamagotchi series and Bandai, I think Bandai owns like Tamagotchi and like Virtual Pets and
Yeah, that's why Namco does the games.
yeah. The idea of Digimon was a little bit older. I mean, it was even like they had like the virtual pets where you can connect and fight and digivolve, and
I had a yellow one.
so like there's
There's that, and then everybody kept insisting that whatever new thing that came out was, oh, it's the new Pokemon. Like I remember hearing that about Yu-Gi-Oh. I heard that about Digimon.
oh okay so
Shaman King for whatever reason.
because capture souls, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Um,
And they Shin Megami Tensei got into the whole this is going to be the new Pokemon thing with Demi Kids.
okay, so let's talk about I'd really say the ones that weren't trying to be imitators, but were obviously accused of imitators, because like there was definitely something in the lieu of like what is it like I think Beyblade was kind of like
Yeah, Beyblade was, and honestly, it was like any kid-friendly anime with a collecting aspect was automatically, oh, this is trying to be the new Pokemon. Regardless of how true that was.
And even we could talk about like one of the inspirations, which I think actually was considered a copycat, even though it was like one of the inspirations for how Pokemon were used, was the capsule toys from Japan. Whenever we kind of started getting capsule toys, and people was like, "Oh, these look like Pokeballs."
Yeah.
No, it's what Pokeballs were inspired by.
Right. Gashapon machines and stuff. Yeah.
And what is it? There are so many things, like anything like with summonable small creatures. Digimon was one of them.
Well, let's not forget the ridiculous controversies.
Are you talking about like the couple banned episodes in Japan?
No, I'm talking about like we live in the Bible Belt, and I remember I heard from there was a lot of maybe not a lot, but some kids who weren't allowed to play with Pokemon stuff because it was of the devil or what. Oh, it's they evolve. It's
Oh, okay. Let's clear what terminology should actually be used, because I call it evolution, and a true scientific term, it's metamorphosis.
right.
Which is something obviously observable by most people. Like people's like, oh, metamorphosis, like
Right, but they use that word, so
yeah, it's like oh, they're evolving, and evolution became like a word like most like Digimon used as Digivolution, which is a derivative, and stuff like that. So like, there's that, and then
but yeah, no matter what, even they were always trying to say that something was corrupting the kids. And that's why we didn't get a lot of games like, One of my favorite game series, Shin Megami Tensei.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get a lot of those because it's like it dealt with topics like demons and they're more in the sense of Japanese demons.
Yeah, the Oni.
Yeah, like they're not necessarily evil spawn of Satan, and they're just kind of spirits, and they're usually just dicks.
Yeah.
But regardless, there were a lot of ridiculous controversies. Let's see, blast. Oh, I have to unlock it.
So, I mean, there's been a lot of controversies. What is it? Pokemon. I forget. I forget. Like, there's a lot of like videos out there that'll talk about the controversies. I know the Game Theorist channel touched on it quite a bit on like all like the different controversies that they talked about, like the anti-religion. No, it's not anti-religion. They said Final Fantasy was anti-religion.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot. But one other thing about it is there's controversy about everything.
Yeah, everybody wants the new thing to be evil.
Really?
Okay, so there's okay, so like I'm looking at you may have heard of like a little snippet of game theory. One of the things is like the Pokemon Aversion Creationist. I don't think that there is really. I think it's over-sensualization on either side of the argument. Then there is one of the things that hits home to me is PETA. Is the Pokemon versus PETA. Do you remember what it was at
Pokemon Black and Blue?
Pokemon Black and Blue,
and they released that horrifying game.
Yeah, and that's not the first time they've ever done that too. So
darn it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to use your blast on him.
I know, there. It wasn't.
So and I could go on about PETA because I don't believe in the organization because they're okay. I view PETA like most people view the Westboro Baptist Church. Just any time they speak up, there it's for attention.
Yeah,
it's and they're often made fun of, laughed at, and everything like that. And they go make out all these. Air quotes.
Chasing an ambulance.
Fan games because that's the only way you could classify what they do because they did like what was the one Mario game where
where he wore the skin
the skin of the Tanuki,
the bloody Tanuki skin.
Yeah,
like they make stuff that's way more horrifying than the actual product.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of stuff in here, but there's a lot of game theories about Pokemon in general. Like, the series has raised a lot of questions, and most people like ask like, where are all the other animals in the world? Because obviously they have to have a basis for like, oh, that's a bird Pokemon. Well, what's a bird? I remember seeing in the anime the one episode where they're in the Cerulean Gym and you see fish, actual fish.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like, wow, that's a little out of place.
My suspension of disbelief is shattered.
This is a world of Pokemon.
Hello, and welcome to the world of Pokemon, where I consistently crap my pants.
We've talked a lot about Pokemon.
We have.
Let's touch on the characters.
From the game or we haven't really spoken about the anime much,
The anime, the games, because
Okay.
they cross over.
right?
Well, you just did an impression of one of them.
That's right.
Oak.
Professor Samuel Oak.
He is the wizened professor of Pallet Town, the person who gives Ash or Red and Gary or Blue their first Pokemon, and he is he's often like, you can almost view him as like one of the really cool characters in the series, because he's like I enjoy Pokemon poetry, and and he
Yeah, he actually like instead of doing Who's That Pokemon in Japan, he did a haiku every week, I think.
oh, that's actually really cool.
Something like that. But yeah, there was great characters like Professor Oak and Brock, who actually got some characterization. Like, you know, initially he, initially he was just the Rock gym leader,
Yeah.
but then he ended up becoming like a mentor almost for
Or,
Ash, or a
almost like
caretaker, sort of.
Well, caretaker, but a best bud, best friend, outside of Pikachu, of course, and
Private chef.
private chef, medicine man.
He was the only reason he and Misty were alive. Well, Misty could take care of herself.
Yeah, probably the only reason why Ash even made it through most of the thing, and I mean, like, okay, the characters are really cool. Like,
Steven, I can get pants.
can you get pants?
I just realized I have cash.
Do you?
I'm trying to get away from that flashpoint. I have 12,000 cash. Almost 12.
Oh, nice.
All right. Pants, here we come. Where are pants? There's pants.
So, I mean, the characters of the series. I mean, okay, so like all the Pokemon professors up until
Oh no.
Unova were old men
Right, but with varying personalities.
with varying personalities.
Actually, I still don't think of I don't think of Professor Birch as an old man.
I think what is it, Rowan?
Yeah.
Professor Rowan, the really old man,
The grumpy old man.
the grumpy old man. Is like, hey, save me, and you get your first Pokemon by. He's like, I got Pokemon over there. Grab one and battle this Poochyena. But starting with Unova, the professor started becoming sexy.
And I am into it.
Mr. Professor Sycamore.
Professor Sycamore and Professor Ivy?
No, Professor Ivy was in.
No, that was the Orange Islands, yeah.
Yeah, the one that Brock won't ever talk about. Every time they mention Poison Ivy, just
Who am I thinking? What was let's see, there was Oak, Birch, Elm, Rowan, Sycamore, and man, I can't remember what her Juniper.
Juniper. Yeah.
Still a tree.
Yep.
That's
They started becoming sexy, and the world had to make fan art of
that's kind of how professors are, man.
Now.
Yeah, I keep seeing because professors now are younger and younger, and it's like I have odd feelings about some of mine. Pants.
I have odd feelings about in my pants. They're not stimulating my brains; they're stimulating my pants.
I'm definitely paying attention in class, but not to the lesson.
Right. One of the things though is they definitely fleshed out the professors a little more as the games went on a little bit more. Because Oak was simply, here's your Pokemon, here's your Pokedex.
Don't die.
Don't ride your bike inside. Whereas let's go with the most recent Sycamore. He was very involved in the game. He's very involved in the plot. he knew the villain,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like on a personal level, and he would appear every once in a while. It's like, hey, you need to go to this area and do this, or hey, I need you to train this Pokemon for a little while. Oh, you train that Pokemon? Go ahead and keep it, but here's another free Pokemon and a Mega Stone.
What do they do? We don't know. Maybe you'll figure it out.
Yeah, there was a stone that the Pokemon was appeared with or whatever.
Flag for nudity.
No, my perfectly safe channel. Fuck. Anyways, it's just there's okay.
There were just so many good there's so many good properties to Pokemon. And it's like I love it now because, you know, we grew up, everybody had Pokemon, and then nobody had Pokemon.
And
But now everybody has Pokemon because everybody grew up with it, and everybody's fine with it.
Well, it's still like it's very much a cultural phenomenon that like a lot of people's like Pokemon 5 years tops.
Yep. Well, that's exactly like what I was talking about earlier.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things. It's had its low points, but those low points were really between release dates and not on release dates because it's like, oh, I'm done with this Pokemon game. I played through it, loved it, but
I'll be Elvira.
but so some of the strongest points in like the Pokemon is the trading card game is still one of the number 3 trading card games in the world, behind Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh. It's still being produced. The cards are still being innovated. And I do believe that I think they're supposed to be re-releasing
The base set.
the original base set 1 Pokemon, which means foil Charizard.
Heck yeah.
Man, I remember whenever I heard like a piece of paper was $100.
Now you wish they were only 100.
Oh, dude.
Steven still plays CCGs, and I play them in digital form.
Because that's probably the cheapest way to play them.
Yep, I just can't. The meta game is so ridiculous.
Oh, okay. So, I probably the biggest thing about that is the ever shifting metagame. But
Well, and then it's an expensive proposition. It's an expensive hobby, especially now that everybody knows. You know, almost everybody net decks.
Well,
to an extent.
Well, yeah, I'd really like to save this topic for another
For a CCG episode.
Yeah, because we really needed this episode of the Kick Awesome podcast, which I actually haven't said the title of up until now.
Hey, welcome to the Kick Awesome podcast.
An hour
Going
and 30
into hour
minutes
2.
An hour and 30 minutes in.
Hey, but our video feed hasn't messed up.
No.
Check it out, I'm Honda.
Have you played Get Out of Hell?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's fun. You actually fly in that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you use the power of Lucifer's halo to fly.
You know what I'm ready for?
What's that?
New Pilot Wings! I don't have any idea if there's one coming out anytime soon, but I wish there was.
You know what is coming out pretty soon? Twilight Princess HD.
That it is. I'm going to have to get it, because I buy every Zelda game, because I'm a consumer whore.
Also, Wolf Link Amiibo.
Yep. Because I have the Ganondorf statue. Man, too bad I couldn't get a tuned Ganondorf amiibo.
Man, okay.
Because amiibos weren't a thing yet.
On the side note, I think we're done with talking about Pokemon. Let's get a little bit more casual talking here. There is that coming out. I wanted to get the special edition of Majora's Mask with the Skull Kid figure.
Yeah, me too.
Just because I'm a big I like Skull Kid. So.
Yeah, I did the Wind Waker HD re-release, Got the came with a Toon Ganondorf statue, which is by far my favorite design of Ganondorf ever had.
Yeah. That was actually okay. So like, Ganondorf was created in Ocarina of Time, officially. I mean, they didn't. I mean, they talked about him in Link to the Past. Like that, I think there was like one line about Ganondorf.
And that was before he was Ganon, right?
Yeah, they talked about him going into and getting the Triforce and becoming Ganon. Okay, and one of the things I mean, they come up with a design, but I think they maintain like his jawline from Wind Waker, and they used him for Twilight Princess, like that kind of like kind of flat jaw on the bottom, and like
With
kind of like
with
straight
a beaky nose.
yeah, beaky nose, and then like the rounded forehead, like he's balding,
Yep.
kind of.
And he also, I just now realized this, but he kind of looks like the inverse of Daphnis Hyrule.
Yeah.
Wasn't that his name?
What was it?
The King of Red Lion, the King of Hyrule.
Oh,
Daphnis.
well, we could just talk about it's he looks kind of like
Dad Boat.
Yeah, Dad Boat. Well, okay, so here's an interesting factoid that I looked up with the Hyrule Historia. Okay. Excellent gift, by the way. So, the Hyrule Historia, according to it, Ganondorf, there's only ever been one.
Really?
It's only ever been one Ganondorf. There have been many Links, many Zeldas, only one Ganondorf across the different timelines.
Interesting.
Okay, so Ganondorf from Wind Waker. He is from the what was it? The adult timeline where he won.
Yes.
Okay, so no, yes, he was sealed in the Sacred Realm, right?
Right.
The great evil came back and stuff like that, and he came back, and he came back, and because Link was sent back in time, there was no link of that timeline. Okay, so the timeline had already diverged, and there was no hero for that timeline. There's actually a rumor. One of the many channels I watch does a lot of Zelda theories. There was actually another theory, but the King of Red Lions didn't accept that hero as a hero and didn't help.
Really?
Yes, it was the hero of the flood, and the hero couldn't save the world because they had no capability.
Dad Boat didn't help.
Yeah, Dad Boat didn't help because he didn't believe that he was the chosen hero. He thought the chosen hero was not an incarnation, but an actual, like, one solid being, like the hero of time. He was waiting for the hero of time to come back. So, and then he prayed to the goddesses to flood the earth. Well, flood Hyrule.
Yeah.
And that Ganondorf is the one that was, from the timeline, that he was sealed in that, right? Okay. Ganondorf from Twilight Princess, the one that was executed. Okay? He was being executed because Link was sent back in time by Princess Zelda, and at the end, they meet in the garden right at the end of the thing. Link is
telling on you.
Link told the events of what everything happened, and he was sentenced to be executed in the sacred burial grounds and the Arbiter's grounds.
Right.
Okay, so
By the way, one of the coolest Zelda dungeons ever.
it is, but okay, and a lot of people be like, the Arbiter's grounds wasn't in Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time. Rumor is that the Arbiter's grounds were on the other side of the Spirit Temple.
Oh, yeah?
Because remember, you had to be shot out of a cannon a long distance across the Gerudo Desert to get to the Arbiter's grounds.
I don't remember that, but it's also been a long time since I played, so...
Yeah. So, there's that. And then, obviously, where the hero falls, the fallen timeline, is where Link to the Past and the original Legend of Zelda games take place, and the Oracle games. So, where Ganon was never sealed, and well, I think he was sealed by the goddesses, but he wasn't sealed by using the Master Sword.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but it's all the one same Ganondorf.
Right. That's the point.
Yeah. Which, Ganondorf is probably one of my favorite bosses of all time because he's definitely one of those like super cool bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I main him in Smash. Like I like him so much.
I main one of the best villains of all time in Smash too.
DDD.
Yes.
Okay. There's some discussion whether he's a villain or not in the video games.
Yeah, he's not really. I mean,
Okay. The original one, he stole the Star Rod to keep an evil sealed in the fountain.
And I also love just the idea. I don't know. He always, in the 2D games, he always looks kind of silly. But in Kirby 64, he looks adorably grumpy. Did you ever play Kirby 64?
No, but I seen the
Like,
picture.
he always has a,
Yeah.
oh, I'll be your friend, Kirby, but,
Oh, King Dedede.
oh, you better shut your mouth there, Escargoon.
I mean, we could talk all day about all these,
Great characters.
Pokemon, Nintendo. We all have that special place in our hearts of like for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know me and you do. There have been man, just so many things we could talk about. And I mean, in the casual talk of this podcast, we I could just fawn over just everything.
Yep. And we the beauty of it is that there's a game for everyone
Yeah.
among Nintendo. Even if you're the most hardcore player ever, that's great. You know, F-Zero GX is one of the hardest games I've ever played.
It's actually like I think who's Watch Mojo rated as one of the top 10 hardest games of all time.
I would agree with that.
And it's not because of just like the regular cup racing mode. It's
all the bonus modes and
it's like the story mode that's in the game. You know.
mm-hmm. And then you've got players like me who like a little more relaxed gameplay. You know, I love the Animal Crossing series.
The Animal Crossing series has a special place in my heart, but I think what Nintendo has to offer for a lot of people, like I love my RPGs, and I haven't played so many and like as of like recently because I've been more of like Twitch shooters and stuff like that, and shooters and MOBAs and stuff like that. But when it comes down to like the RPGs. I think Nintendo has one of the best libraries of RPGs. The Mario,
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Mario and Luigi,
Paper
Mario,
Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
They have just so much.
Boom, ba 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 boom, ba 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 boom, ba 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 boom, 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 ba 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 boom. Anyway.
Matrix. This is the Matrix. These are babies. I am the Matrix and these are babies.
There's no context for that, Steven. There was a webcomic we read back in the day called Mac Hall by Ian McConville, who does 3-Panel Soul currently.
Yeah, and he also did the art for Spiral Knights.
He did.
I
One of my favorite artists.
I actually talked about that game today, but I had a hard time like.
You're like, it's like Diablo mixed with World of Warcraft, but with like a visual style similar to it's like really cutesy but yeah, it's a fun game. I bombed.
Are you like close to beating the game?
What? No. I'm about to unlock the spaceship.
Oh. Because
It's actually. Have you not played past this?
no.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
okay. So I got into cyberspace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got up to the point where I got all the little nodes where you start collecting the power up, right? And I just started just collecting all the nodes I could, and just that's all I did.
It's the same thing that happened to me in Crackdown. It's the most addicting part of the game.
I described this game to somebody, and they're just like, so it's Saints Row Crackdown? Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. I'm
Man,
like,
I love Crackdown.
I Hulk jump everywhere.
Man, Crackdown was cool, great. Crackdown 2 was just not as good.
We're supposed to be getting a new one soon.
Even whenever I'm naked and all Terminator drunk, covered in goo.
And pixels.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so are you playing this section, and I immediately go to Naked Raiden. Think about it.
Yeah, but this is Naked Raiden that's not afraid to just be naked.
Well, there's that, but it's just like, I mean, like back in the day of like this, if we had a section like this, because most people would choose a male character.
Mm-hmm. I always plays girls.
I know, but most people would
Well,
choose.
no, I was telling them.
Yeah, would choose a male character, and they would be like, "Oh God, he's naked."
And I'm like, nope. I am a sassy black lady.
Yeah.
In real life and in the game.
You're clearly not a sassy black lady.
Why is that?
Girl. You.
You figured it out. I'm actually Medea.
Hallelujah.
I saw one of those. My ex talked me into watching one of those movies, and I don't remember which one.
I've enjoyed a few Tyler Perry films. They're funny to me sometimes.
Yeah. Everyone has their guilty pleasures. Where am I supposed to?
I don't know if I'd call it a guilty pleasure because I'm just not too guilty about it.
There we go. Ah. I'm not that great at shooters, guys. I like RPGs. I like adventure games.
Yeah. I put you a little bit out of your element for a minute.
Yep. I love platformers.
Oh, platformers is the bread and butter of I think both of us because that's kind of what we grew up on was platformers.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say I think we have to find us a stopping point here.
I know.
It's going to take me a solid 1 day to upload this to YouTube. Well, since I'm recording at 7:20 though, it's not really going to
It'll
be
be
that.
half that time.
Yeah. But guys, if you, I'm glad you joined us for this podcast. If you have made it this far,
If you have made it this far, congratulations! You're a freaking trooper.
we like to thank you. If you've made it this far, let's pose a question. If you made it this far and you've heard this question, answer down in the comment section below.
What's 9 times 12?
That, and what's your favorite Pokemon?
Yeah. I'm going to go on record with one Pokemon, and I'm going to say that it's Bulbasaur.
Miltank.
Because I think I can picture me being best friends with a Bulbasaur, and, I've told you this before, but, as I get older, we all we hang out, and I get old and lazy, and he gets big and fat and old. I hang out under his giant palm fronds and take naps, and it would be just a great time.
Yeah. Miltank, because Miltank's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave a comment
Free
down
milk?
below. And free milk. Just leave that comment down below. Like the podcast. Share it with friends. Share it with friends.
Share it with a friend, won't you? It's meant to be shared. It's like a Toblerone.
That's right. Hit us up on social media. At Chicken Sandwich here and at PJ Randall over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we would respond and in a pretty readily manner.
I always respond quickly because nobody ever wants to tweet me.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got. Just hit us up, like the video, and hopefully we'll see you in the next podcast. We will come up with a new topic, and hopefully we can successfully talk about that topic as well as we did this one.
Which is to say, we'll ramble forever.
Oh yeah, because
that's our specialty.
Because that's actually like I think that's what we do is we just ramble.
Yep. Well, say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, Steve.
And good night to you, listeners. Have a safe evening and a pleasant tomorrow.